they stumbled upon an earth-shattering secret inside their neighbor's house. The walls were covered with countless candid photos of them. Could their neighbor be some total creep? But some of the photos only captured the empty interior of their living room. Just as they were staring at the photos, completely baffled, Matt suddenly spotted something bizarre. A huge machine was standing silently in the corner, looking like an oversized camera, and its lens was pointed directly at the living room where they lived. At the same time, Matt found a fresh photo on the machine. When he picked it up, he saw it was a shot of their living room. Here's the weird part. None of them could remember their coat rack ever falling over, but they didn't think too much of it at the time, and were more curious about why their neighbor, Henry, had been taking secret photos of them. It all started not long before. They'd noticed piles of newspapers piling up outside Henry's front door, and his car was covered in parking tickets, so they'd come inside to check things out of curiosity. They had no idea Henry wouldn't be here, let alone that they'd stumble on something this bizarre. Even with all these questions swirling in their heads, they had no choice but to head back to their own place for the time being. Once they got back, Kelly was getting ready to head out for something, but right at that moment, she accidentally knocked over the coat rack. The scene was exactly the same as the one in the photo they just seen. Was this just a coincidence? Or could that camera see into the future? The three of them rushed back to the neighbor's house to check again. After comparing, they found the scene matched the photo perfectly. Before they could wrap their heads around what was happening, the camera next to them suddenly whirred to life. Right in front of their shocked eyes, the camera took a photo all by itself. As the photo printed out, Matt grabbed it immediately to take a look, but this time, the photo showed them having a party. The three of them had no idea what this meant. Meanwhile, Matt picked up all the other photos the camera had taken and dropped, laid them out on the table, and went through them one by one. Based on the timeline, the first few photos captured scenes from their daily lives, day by day, some taken when they were home, some when they weren't. If the photo of the fallen coat rack lined up with today, then this party photo taken today must be the scene from tomorrow. But that was absolutely mind-blowing, because they actually were planning to throw a house party the next day. After going through all the photos, they found the camera took photos every night at exactly 8 p.m. to test if this was really true. When they held the party the next night, Matt told his girlfriend Kelly and his best friend Joseph to stay at the party, while he stood by the window in Henry's house, waiting for the clock to strike 8. It wasn't long before, with a loud click, he hit the shutter on his own camera at the exact same time the giant machine did. He then pulled out the photo from the day before to compare, and found it matched perfectly, not a single detail out of place. As another fresh photo printed out, Matt rushed over and grabbed it. He held it up to the light to look closely, and saw the three of them looking overjoyed in the shot. Joseph had even written down the winning horse race numbers for the next day right there in the photo. It was clear that their future selves had figured out how to use this camera to get rich quick, so Matt rushed back to share this discovery with Kelly and Joseph, and after talking it over, the three of them all agreed this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to get rich. The next day, Joseph placed a bet on the horse race using the numbers from the photo, and they made their first pile of cash. If they kept this up, hitting the big time would be a sure thing. But before they could celebrate too much, Kelly accidentally found a notebook in Henry's bedroom. It was filled with data from Henry's experiments with the camera. What terrified them was what it said. It clearly stated that time and causality cannot be altered. In other words, no one can change the future, and there will be severe consequences if you try. What's more, the last entry in the notebook was dated a week earlier. Could something terrible have happened to Henry because he tried to change the future? If that's the case, they were in huge trouble. After they got back, Kelly analyzed the photos and thought long and hard about everything, and came to a conclusion. Since they couldn't change the future, they could just act out exactly what was in the photos for their past selves to see. Put simply, every time they got a new photo, they just had to do the exact same things at the same time the next day. That way, the future would stay exactly as it was, and they could keep making money with no consequences. So following Kelly's plan, they decided to give it a try. When their future selves sent them a message, they would just pass that same message along to their past selves. Using this endless loop, the three of them actually pulled it off. But a new problem soon popped up. Where on earth was their neighbor Henry? Not only had he not paid his rent, his parking tickets were piling up more and more every day. If this kept up, someone was bound to find out what was going on sooner or later. But the three of them searched every room in the house and found no trace of him. So after much thought, they paid Henry's overdue rent for him, and got the keys from his landlord. This time, they decided to check out the storage unit Henry had rented in the basement. It was the only place they hadn't looked yet. After they unlocked all the padlocks one by one, the three of them finally found Henry, but he had been dead for quite a while. The creepy part? His head looked like it had been burned, but there wasn't a single mark on his clothes. Had he been punished for breaking the rules of time? If that was true, their only choice was to stick to Kelly's plan and reenact every scene from the photos. But that night, the three of them had a huge falling out over Henry's death. Matt thought they should go to the police, while Joseph thought they should use the camera to make even more money. In the end, Kelly's vote broke the tie, and they decided to use the camera to fulfill a few more of their dreams first. But before that, they paid off all of Henry's parking tickets, moved his car, cleared up all the newspapers and mail piling up at his door, and told the building security guard that Henry was in the hospital sick, and had asked them to look after his place for a while. With all that taken care of, The three of them waited for the next message from their future selves, but this time, when the photo came out, Matt took one look at it and walked away without a word, because the photo showed Kelly and Joseph kissing behind his back. What the hell was going on? None of them could wrap their heads around it, and Matt absolutely couldn't accept what he'd seen, but it was too late to back out now. They had to reenact the scene exactly as it was in the photo, because if they changed the future as it was laid out, all three of them could end up dead just like Henry, erased by the rules of time. After Kelly begged him to go through with it, Matt finally reluctantly agreed. He figured he'd just stay out of the way and not watch. Right before the camera was set to take the photo, Matt was working on the painting that was in the earlier photo, completely unaware that Kelly and Joseph were kissing right behind him. When the clock struck 8, Matt snapped at the two of them to stop, then stormed off to Henry's house in a rage. Joseph followed him, trying to explain, but Matt just held up the new photo and demanded to know who the man in it was. This new photo had a new man in it, and he looked like he was talking to Joseph. Joseph stared at it in shock and said, "That's Ivan, the bookie I place my horse bets with. But this is wrong. Why would he come to the apartment?" Matt demanded to know if he'd told anyone about the camera. Joseph swore he hadn't said a word. Kelly casually asked if this Ivan guy was dangerous. Joseph hesitated, but admitted he was bad news. Ivan was a compulsive gambler, and he must have gotten suspicious when Joseph kept winning every single bet. But since he was in the photo, Ivan was definitely going to show up. Figuring out how to deal with him became their new problem. No matter what, they still had to reenact the scene exactly as it was in the photo. After all, no one wanted to end up like Henry. The next night, after they'd set up the scene exactly as it was in the photo, still bitter about what Joseph had done with Kelly, Matt said that since he and Kelly weren't in the photo, they were going to go out for a walk. When the time came, Ivan showed up right on schedule. This guy was clearly trouble the second he walked in. He was also sharp as a tack. After just a short conversation, he could tell the nervous Joseph was hiding something big. So after just a few minutes of talking, Ivan lost his patience, grabbed a baseball bat, and demanded answers. He said he didn't believe anyone could win that many bets in a row, and Joseph better give him a good explanation. Joseph was terrified, and quickly babbled that he'd just been having really good luck lately, but Ivan didn't buy it for a second. He started smashing everything in the room without a second thought. Just as Joseph was about to crack and spill the secret, Kelly stormed in furiously and slammed a photo down on the table. The photo showed Matt painting a portrait of her, with a dark figure peeking in through the window outside. Kelly was convinced the figure was Joseph, which was why she was so furious. Ivan looked at the photo and had no idea what was going on between them, but he left Joseph alone and walked out. The next night, to keep from altering the future, Matt had to reenact the scene from the photo exactly. But right then, Ivan showed up again, this time with his goons. It turned out the dark figure in the photo from the night before had been him. After seeing the photo the day before and then seeing the exact scene play out in front of him, Ivan finally put two and two together. He realized these three had a way to see into the future. He threatened Joseph to tell him the secret, or else, with no other choice, Joseph led Ivan to Henry's house. He told him everything about the camera, and offered to work with Ivan to make them both rich, but he'd seriously underestimated how greedy Ivan was. With Ivan now in the picture, Matt and the others were reduced to his puppets. Ivan ordered them to send the winning horse race numbers to their past selves every single day, so they could get the tips for the next day's races. He then had his goons take the photo back with them every night, but Joseph had a trick up his sleeve. While Ivan's goons weren't looking, he secretly took a photo of the new picture with his phone. After they left with the photo, the three of them looked at the photo on Joseph's phone and tried to figure it out. Matt said he would never paint something like a skull, so why was there a skull in the painting in the photo? Joseph thought it might be a warning to them. Later, when Matt was talking to Kelly alone, he suggested they just take the money and run away together, but Kelly refused, saying they couldn't just leave Joseph to deal with Ivan alone. They should wait until Ivan was dealt with first. Little did they know, Joseph was listening to their entire conversation from outside the door. That night, Joseph hid all the weapons and supplies he could find, and started practicing his plan to take Ivan down the next day. He was going to take out Ivan and his goons for good. The next night, Joseph lied to Ivan, saying he had something to tell him face to face. The latest photo showed Ivan dead. Joseph told Ivan he must have been killed by his own goons over the money, and the photo had captured the whole thing. If he didn't believe it, he could go check the photo himself. Hearing this, Ivan stared at his goons in silence, snatched their weapons away, then stormed off to Henry's house. When he got to the house and grabbed the photo, he saw the scene wasn't exactly what Joseph had described. He rushed back immediately, only to find Joseph was gone. Ivan was just about to ask his goons where Joseph was, when he saw they were already dead. At that same moment, Joseph snuck up behind him with a baseball bat. He swung as hard as he could, hitting Ivan square in the head. Then, right in front of Matt and Kelly's horrified eyes, he beat Ivan to death in a fit of rage. None of them had ever thought things would go this far. Once everything went quiet, Matt had no choice but to help Joseph hide the bodies of Ivan and his goon down in the basement. Joseph then pulled out the latest photo, which showed them with all of Ivan's money. But as Joseph got more and more unhinged, Matt realized it was only a matter of time before things went wrong between them. So he told Joseph he was done. He was taking Kelly and leaving this place for good. But to his shock, Kelly said Joseph had saved their lives that night, and they couldn't just abandon him like this. There was a reason Kelly was acting this way, and we'll get to that later in the story. This incident drove a huge wedge between the three of them. Just then, a woman named Ms. Heidecker showed up unannounced. She said she was Henry's colleague, and had come to ask about him. Matt didn't want to tell her anything, but the woman spotted Henry's hat in their apartment. She then pulled out a gun, and demanded to know what was going on. With no other choice, Matt and Kelly led Ms. Heidecker down to the basement. When she saw her dead colleague, she told them the real reason she was there. It turned out she and Henry had built the time camera together, but a week earlier, she'd gotten a letter from Henry in the mail. Inside was a creepy photo. It showed Henry's view from across the way, into Matt's living room, where he could see her hat sitting on the couch, and blood splattered on the window. Henry was convinced he was going to die at the hands of his neighbors across the way, which is why he'd sent the photo to her. But from what she saw now, Henry hadn't died because he broke the rules of time. He'd accidentally broken a canister of toxic gas while trying to run away, and died right there in the basement. Matt didn't care how Henry had died. What shocked him was that the photo she had was taken a week earlier, but the event in the photo hadn't even happened yet. Did that mean the camera could take photos of more than just one day into the future? Before he could think any further, Joseph pulled out a gun and shot Ms. Heidecker dead. He couldn't let anyone expose the secret of the camera. Matt was horrified by what he'd just done. But what was even more unthinkable for Matt was what came next. The camera produced a photo showing Kelly and Joseph having an intimate encounter. When Matt saw the photo, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't bring himself to reenact the scene, especially after Ms. Heidecker had told them Henry's death wasn't caused by the time rules. He was even more determined to refuse. But the now completely unhinged Joseph saw Matt's refusal as a deliberate act, so he knocked Matt out cold without a second thought. He was going to force the future scene to happen, no matter what. When Matt woke up, he found himself locked in the basement by Joseph. Joseph was clearly planning to bring him up that night when the camera was set to take the photo, but Joseph hadn't counted on one thing. Matt found a spare key in the pocket of Henry's dead body, and used it to escape. The next morning, the phone rang for Joseph. When he answered it, he looked out the window and saw Matt standing in Henry's house with a bucket of water. He threatened to destroy the camera, and told Joseph to put Kelly on the phone. Joseph was completely obsessed with the camera by this point, so even though he had a gun, he had no choice but to do what Matt said. When Kelly got on the phone, Matt threatened again to destroy the camera unless Joseph handed his gun to Kelly. Furious but with no other option, Joseph did as he was told. Once Kelly had the gun and the situation was under control, Matt rushed back to the apartment. He told Kelly to pack their bags, and told Joseph he was taking Kelly and leaving. Whatever Joseph did after that was none of their business. He then went to grab some of the cash they'd made, but right then, Joseph grabbed a golf club he'd hidden earlier, and started beating Matt brutally with it. Once Matt was too injured to fight back, Joseph pulled a hammer out from under the couch, ready to finish him off for good. He was completely out of control by this point. In that split second, Kelly hit him hard from behind with a heavy object, and Joseph died instantly. Kelly helped Matt onto the couch, then went to pack their bags so they could leave. As Matt was recovering from the shock of what had just happened, Kelly picked up a photo from the floor and handed it to him, saying they'd changed the future. Matt pulled out the photo Ms. Heidecker had brought with her, and when he compared the two, they didn't match. He realized he had to paint exactly what was in the photo, because if he hadn't found the key in Henry's pocket, he never would have escaped the basement. Now he knew the green gas canister was what had killed Henry, so he had to paint it to warn his past self and Henry. He hoped Henry would see it and change his fate. By this point, Matt was convinced that changing the future and the past wouldn't have any terrible consequences. Kelly went into the bedroom to finish packing their bags, but when Matt finished the painting, he suddenly realized something was wrong. The two photos were almost identical, except for an extra seal on one. Had they not changed the future at all? Confused, Matt went to ask Kelly about it, only to see her frantically hiding something. He was about to ask what she was doing, but Kelly just handed him an ice pack and told him to rest, saying she'd take him away once she was done packing. She then helped Matt back into the bedroom, but the second she left, Matt opened his eyes. He snuck out into the living room, and saw Kelly standing by the window, sending some kind of message to the house across the way. With a loud click, the camera went off. Matt stared in disbelief and asked why the camera was taking a photo during the day. Kelly froze, not knowing what to say. Matt rushed over and dumped out everything Kelly had just hidden. He found dozens of hidden photos, and what he saw shocked him to his core. They were all photos of her and Joseph together, having an affair behind his back. Kelly knew she couldn't hide it anymore, so she told him the whole truth. It all started before the three of them had even gone into Henry's house together. Kelly had been the first one of the three to find the photos. She'd gone into Henry's house before Matt and Joseph. When she looked through everything, she made a shocking discovery. The photos not only had messages from her future self, but the camera took 2 photos every day, one in the morning, and one at 8 p.m. But some of the morning photos had captured her and Joseph together, having their affair. Kelly was terrified Matt would find out, so she took all those photos before she called Matt and Joseph inside, and lied to them, saying the camera only took one photo a night at 8 p.m. She'd been secretly using the morning photos to send warnings to her past self every day, hoping she could change what had happened, and erase her affair with Joseph completely. Matt was confused. If Joseph was dead now, then what was this photo she was holding? Kelly explained that this photo wasn't from the future. It was from a long time ago, when Matt had gotten blackout drunk, and she and Joseph had slept together. The reason she kept it was because her future self had told her to via the morning photos. She thought Matt would never let her and Joseph reenact that scene, and if he refused, Matt would think he'd changed the future, and he'd never find out about her affair. Kelly said she'd done it all for him, but Matt couldn't understand any of it. He was furious that Kelly had lied to him from the very beginning, and even more furious that she'd known everything this whole time, and had let everything get this bad. He threw off the engagement ring she'd given him, then turned to go destroy the camera once and for all. Kelly rushed to stop him, begging him, saying if he couldn't accept what had happened, they could send a message to their past selves, and tell her past self never to let Matt find out the truth. This only made Matt angrier. It was just delusional, lying to themselves. As he turned to walk to the camera, determined to destroy it, Kelly picked up the gun from the floor, and pointed it at him. She begged him not to do it, but Matt just turned away from her, his mind made up. But the next second, Kelly pulled the trigger. Matt fell to the floor, dead. Kelly whispered to herself,
"It's gonna be okay. We won't remember any of this tomorrow."
She then wrote a note and taped it to the window. It said, "Don't let your boyfriend catch you taking photos by the window." She was trying to stop her past self from being caught like she just had been, hoping her past self wouldn't get caught. But she didn't know that two police officers were walking by outside, and they saw everything through the window. When the police broke down the door and saw what had happened inside, Kelly was arrested on the spot. But she didn't care anymore. As long as her past self saw her note, this future would be changed forever. But as the police led her out of the building, the note she taped to the window fell off. Kelly tried to go back to tape it up again, but the police pulled her away. This moment closed the time loop for good. The ending made it clear. The future and causality can never be changed. With one final click of the camera, our story comes to an end. This is a pretty mind-bending movie. Since the time loop plot relies on every detail lining up perfectly from start to finish, it can be a little hard to follow at times, but the core message is this: Kelly knew everything from the very beginning. To cover up her affair with Joseph and keep Matt from finding out, she guided her past self through every step, hiding the truth at every turn. She thought she could change the future, but she had no idea that everything she did was just part of the time loop all along. The camera only ever faithfully recorded what was going to happen in the future. It could never change the future or the rules of causality. The photo of the event a week into the future that Ms. Heidecker brought with her is the key turning point of the whole movie. Maybe at the end of every week, when the loop resets, the time camera takes a photo of 1 week into the future. All in all, this is a classic time loop story, and I highly recommend you check out the original film. It's an incredible movie, filled with so many more details and a tight, brilliant plot that holds up perfectly. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Jack, and I'll see you next time.